All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Houston Texans have begun training camp, folks. We're back. Football is back. Preseason football for Houston, especially less than 2 weeks away. We're live in action in training camp. I can't wait. The rookies here, new faces, Stephon Diggs, Joe Mixon. We got CJ Stroud back in action. The coaching staff. The Houston Texans football is back, folks. So we're going to be breaking down practice today. I've got everybody's footage up there in the bottom left. Go check these guys out. They're phenomenal Houston Texans reporters, and without them, we would not be able to make this video. So go check them out on Twitter. Let's get into it, man. Houston's one of the most intriguing teams in the National Football League, and there's not like it's just so cool because we've seen CJ Stroud play for a season, and there's not as many question marks. There's not nearly as many question marks as they had last season. With such a new roster, such a young roster, so many new faces. There's a lot of new faces like Joe Mixon, Stephon Diggs, a bunch of all the rookies. So guys on the defensive side, Danielle Hunter. This is a revamped team. But it's just sweet that we've already seen CJ Stroud play regular season football in the National Football League. It just is. So Stephon Diggs is out there, Tank Dell. A lot of these wide receivers are just extremely talented. Tank Dell coming back from his injury. John Mechie trying to break out finally into the NFL. You got Noah Brown coming off a really consistent, reliable season with Houston last year. You got Nico Collins, who kind of established himself as a star, a revamped running back room. We're going to be talking about everything Houston Texans in today's video. But before we do, if you guys enjoy it, be sure to hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content. We're going to be covering training camp for pretty much the entire league every single day. So this is our first Texans training camp video, but I post a ton of Texans content in general because I got a Houston Rockets podcast. Check it out. Let's Talk Rockets. But if you could try and get this video to 250 likes, I would really appreciate it. One big thing I'm taking an eye on, like I do with every training camp, is the new faces. Stephon Diggs comes on over, Joe Mixon comes on over, and I think they just give CJ Stroud and this Houston Texans offense a lot more versatility, but more importantly, a lot more big-time playability. Consistent, reliable, proven veterans who have been here before and can help show these young cats the rope. It's kind of amazing what Houston did last season, and because we're already a couple of months or many months removed from it, it's hard to really, people know the Houston Texans just had a special season. They just won their first playoff game since 2019, but they were coming off like a 3-win freaking season. So, what Houston was able to do with DeMeco Ryans last season was absolutely phenomenal. In my opinion, they had a phenomenal draft. I think they had another phenomenal draft. Let's actually talk about some of these draft picks here because I love training camp because I love keeping an eye on these rookies, especially in regards to fantasy football. But your first pick was round 2, 42nd overall. Kamari Lassiter, you guys saw it during minicamp. You guys saw it during OTAs. This guy was all over. He was all freaking over the film. He was all over Twitter. Kamari Lassiter apparently is going to be a day one starter here, and you're going to see it translate as we get further into training camp. Keep in mind, he's out of freaking Georgia. If you guys know anything about this channel, I love my SEC players, especially on the defensive side of things. He was second team all SEC in 2013. That's just an extremely impressive statistic. But he had 8 total pass breakups. He's known for just having really good cover skills. Keep in mind, new cornerback room, right? But you signed 2 former top 10 picks with the departure of Steven Nelson, and you still got one of the best cornerbacks in Stingley Jr. there that also a lot of people don't fully understand or appreciate outside of Houston Texans fans. But you picked up Jeff Okudah, you picked up CJ Henderson, and these are 2 top 10 picks. Keep in mind, though, this is going to be both of their third teams in 5 seasons. So these are 2, the cornerback room, the wide receiver room, these are groups I'm taking a keen, close eye on because, right now you're penciled in. Derek Stingley Jr. is one of the best cornerbacks in the National Football League, but who's playing opposite of him? Because you got Desmond King there in the nickel. Signs are pointing that it's going to be Kamari Lassiter, but who knows? Even just having CJ Henderson and Jeff Okudah, as backup cornerbacks who have been in the league, they were highly, highly touted coming out of college. I'm just glad that these guys are still in my back pocket, and I'm really excited to see how they do in camp. Moving forward, Blake Fisher, offensive tackle out of Notre Dame. Kalen Bullock, safety out of USC. He got a ton of hype as well. I'm excited to see him play. The safeties in front of him are going to be Petre and Ward. Really good secondary on paper as it stands right now. This Houston Texans defense, especially with the addition of obviously freaking Danielle Hunter. Now your edges consist of Will Anderson Jr. and Danielle Hunter. And, here's the thing. So many people focused on what they lost on the defensive side of things. They improved it vastly, let alone the Danielle Hunter trade, which, freaking, by the way, can't wait to see him live in a Houston Texans uniform in just a couple of weeks here, or week and a half at this point. But you brought in guys like Danico Autry, absolute freaking studs. You brought in Al-Aziz Shahir, absolute freaking stud, coming on over from the Tennessee Titans. This is a really, really well-rounded defensive group, in my opinion. I don't have too many questions about the starters outside of, cornerback number 2. And once again, all signs are pointing towards Kamari Lassiter. Moving towards offense, Cade Stover, Joe Mixon, Stephon Diggs. These are a couple of guys I'm going to be keeping an eye on during training camp. Cade Stover is really interesting because Dalton Schultz just had a great season with the Houston Texans. Great season coming off the Dallas Cowboys. He was a reliable, consistent tight end, reliable, consistent threat for C.J. Stroud. But once you get into the future of it, Cade Stover, 4th-round pick. Sorry, guys, I'm a little sick. Woke up a little sick today. Cade Stover just reunited with his former college quarterback, C.J. Stroud. Now, technically, he only had a little over 1,000 yards, 10 total touchdowns in his career, but he was first-team All-American in 2023. So I've got consistent, reliable tight end Dalton Schultz. I've got Brevin Jordan, who showed me a lot last season, especially towards the end in crunch time moments. But he's an impending free agent this upcoming season. So Stover not only gives you depth, but he's also going to give you a future potential tight end past if Jordan walks in 2025. So thinking more long-term there. But Joe Mixon, huge fan of moving for Joe Mixon in the offseason here. I'm still hopeful for my Florida Gator legend, Dameon Pierce. I think this will hopefully open it up for Dameon. Last year just didn't work out. But once they moved forward, Devin Singletary, they saw great advances in the rushing game, but it was something that was just very inconsistent, very lackluster in the first half of the season. So getting Joe Mixon, a proven, reliable 1,000-yard rusher, consistent 1,000-yard rusher, that should pay dividends in this offense, and it should only help out C.J. Stroud. John Mechie III, another guy I'm keeping a close eye on. He's a huge trade candidate. I think he's also even a huge cut candidate, hoping he can find a way to make this roster because even if he's wide receiver number 5 playing behind Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs, Tank Dell, and Noah Brown, dudes get injured, and John Mechie's got crazy speed. He's a huge hype coming out of college, and now that he's healthy and good to go last year, hopefully just a good offseason, a good training camp could get him back on set for this upcoming season. But he's another guy I'm keeping an eye on. So that's it for today. We'll get another Texans video out to you guys later today once training camp is officially wrapped up. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content. Let me know which rookie are you most excited to see at training camp for the Houston Texans down below.